All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Insanely13, and today is the third to last race of the X2 Championship this season. It's been a fight between teammates for the last few races, and depending on how things go, we may see a title get locked up today. I'm being joined today, though, by a new co-commentator, Schumacher SF7. Shumi, go ahead. Welcome to the broadcast booth as we prepare again to wait for X2. You took part in the X3 race earlier today. What can we be looking forward to on track?
High speed, but complex curbs. If you hit one wrong, you could be in the gravel or in the wall. So I'd just try and be careful on them. That's what I'd say.
All right. Excellent point. Getting into the first round qualifying. Looks like we have 17 people showing up. We may have one or two stragglers that show up in the middle of qualifying, but I'm not going to put too much money on that happening. So with that in mind, 15 of those 17 drivers will advance to the next round of qualifying. So only 2 people in the drop zone. There's probably going to be a lot of people who can just go out, set a lap right away, retire, and they don't have to worry about the rest of this first session.
It's going to be an interesting qualifying for my first time watching it. So from this perspective.
Yeah. Of course, I also wouldn't be surprised to see a few drivers go ahead, try to turn their lap in Q1 on a medium set of tires. If they do so, and they make that work out, then they may have extra set of softs that they can utilize in the latter sections of the event. Also, word is that there may be rain in the race itself, but they're not anticipating rain in the qualifying sessions itself.
It's going to be interesting, and if it's a wet start, very interesting.
But if it's a wet start, that also basically means that Q2, you lose all of the dynamic of what tire compound you run with. You could simply just choose to set your laps in Q1 on mediums, automatically advance to Q2s. Yeah.
Which then chucks the strategy out the window because you're starting on inters or full wets anyway.
And then you end up with a different interesting game because then it comes to a matter of, well, how far do you want to push if it goes wet to dry? The question becomes, how far do you want to push intermediate tires on a drying racetrack? In normal racing conditions, you have wet weather tires on a drying track. You're going to be swerving offline on the straights to try and run over whatever puddles may be left to keep some, keep the tires from overheating and chunking apart. But they're still going to chunk apart irregardless. And that's the other thing when it comes to the way that tires wear. Out of curiosity, are you seeing anything on the actual racetrack? Because I'm still stuck in a loading screen.
I've got it up of the cars are currently out on track, so.
So I'm stuck in a loading screen then. Okay, cool. 1 second, hold for the broadcast.
Very fizzy.
But as I was going to say, when you have wet weather tires on a drying racetrack, what typically happens, the way that tires are designed for wet weather, it's similar to what you have on your typical road car. There are a lot of different grooves, a lot of different paths on the tire, and it's encouraged for the water to kind of flow out through that as you run over it. Now, as the tires keep going, as they're wearing down, the grooves get a little bit shallower and shallower as more and more rubber is taken off. On a drier track, or at least a track that's not sufficiently wet enough to keep the tires heat down, what will end up happening is that the tires don't just kind of fall apart. They actually chunk pieces apart, and although proper marbles aren't properly replicated in this game, in real life you have a lot of marbling offline, and that can cause a lot of issues in the later parts of a race when the track is properly dry. As we try now to load into the circuit properly.
I'm currently on board with the first car that's out on track on mediums. So what you said about the try and get through on mediums in Q1 is correct. So it's Fizzy. He's currently first sector. Obviously, there's no one set lap, so a 51.2 for the first two sectors. You should be back in now. Yay.
I should be coming in now. I just loaded into the lobby and now I'm in a loading screen again. So
Fizzy comes around
hopefully
the final corner. Just set on mediums. A 1:17.0 first lap. Breezy is invalid. Nope. Asda's just come across with a 16.9 on softs. Lucky Do on medium 16.5. That's good. English.
Here we are. Now I finally have view of what's going on.
Next car is Low, who's on softs, coming around for the penultimate corner. Opens DRS and sets a 15.4 on softs.
So right now, that's the fastest time we have on the sheets.
It's not a bad lap. That's a pretty good lap. Ooh, Breezy
though has just had an incident there. So that will be the first DNF of the session. We're going to try and reach out to Breezy, see if he'll be willing to jump in and share what happened with us.
I don't know how. The only way to lose out there is if he snapped on the chicane and lost it into the wall, but I would think that would have been on the outside, not on the inside, but...
He may have started to catch it, and then the car gripped up at a point that he wasn't anticipating, and when it gripped up, it gripped at an awkward angle.
English with a 15.4, Jigsaw with a 1:16.0,
and the Lone Retreat with a 15.522.
Some good time being posted at the minute. There's a hat on a lap. Not on an outlap, sorry.
Silverstone and XRL Matrix, the latter being your current points leader, on track, about to start their flyer laps. But what I want to do, I see TIR Foreman there in the Williams. Every single race of broadcast, I always try to take one driver that I spend a lap on board with quiet, so you can just hear the cars and hear how they tackle the track. We're going to go ahead and choose to do that with TIR Foreman in the Williams. We'll go silent in the booth for a lap, watch as he tackles the track here in Q1 at Imola. All right, and that's a full lap on board with TIR Foreman. Good enough for a 6 with a 1:16.294. Also in the middle of that, Silverstone was in the middle of the lap. He has the medium tires equipped, but he invalidated, pulled over, very nearly screwed up Foreman's lap, and it's gone from bad to worse for Jabez John because on this subsequent lap he's tried to do, he invalidates it right at the start. It's not looking very good for him when it comes to staying a lap here.
Waldo, I think that's how you pronounce it, Pete, is currently, the Hassels are currently on lap purple sector 1.
Waldo's teammate Matrix currently has the 4th best time with a 15.674. And that's been the big thing here ever since XRL Dino stepped away from the league. It has been a battle between the Haas drivers. And in all reality, Waldo had been the number 1 on this team for the first 15, 16 races of the season. Now all of a sudden, right after Dino left, Matrix has really opened up the gap. He's... Oh, no.
Yeah, I think Az's crashed
And that's out. Yeah, he's out now. And that's coming out of the final corner. Rough, because that means he will not advance to the next round. So what we're going to do, we're going to try and get Ozda into the party. Ozda, if you can hear us, go ahead, include your audio. Big accident coming out 1. What happened?
I just lost it, basically. Got nothing else to say. Hardly done any practice this week, so it's all my fault.
All right, rough run to say the least. Do you think you can rebound in the race itself, though?
I don't know. It'll take us pretty difficult around here, so I'll try my best, but not high hopes.
All right, a different question. You did say recently over the week that this might be your last race. Are you going to commit to that, or would you at least be willing to try and run at the last 2 new circuits on the schedule? I'd want to see you at least run those last 2.
I mean, I don't know. I think what is the last race? Is it Jeddah? Is it? Yeah. Is that the last
yeah. Next week is Portimao, and the last race is Jeddah.
I mean, those are the tracks that I'm really good at, but I'm not too sure. I've got exams and stuff, so.
Are you serious? Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know.
All right, well, shame to see you out. Hopefully you can turn things around the race. And now XRL Pelly had a spin there in Sector 2, and when he tried to get going the right way, the game disqualified him for no good reason. Now he will not advance. And with that in mind, Breezy and Pelly's accident and disqualification, coupled with Oz's crash, means that all everyone has to do is just set a time. They're automatically going to make it into the next round if they can go faster than Ozda's time.
It's interesting, that is. This is because there's a few people using mediums and then everyone else using softs. So some different strategies at go here. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in Q2, even though we know it's going to be a wet start. So it gets interesting.
We're starting to see drivers farther up the grid on the timesheets at least, retiring. They know they don't really have to worry. Jabez John on the mediums has set a time 117.184.
That's good.
Fuel lights flashing on that car. I wonder if he thinks he can go faster.
We need a 10th up going into the last sector. Or 10th down.
He lost it. Well, he doesn't seem to be laying on the ERS as hard as I thought he would be, so he might be treating this more as a cooldown lap. And again, if circumstances dictate that he has to go back out there, he can always go ahead, throw on a set of softs, and probably take off at least a good second or 2.
The thing is, you don't need to go out. Everyone's through. It's Q1.
So the counterpoint to that, though, is that right now, that's because XRL Yun has yet to get out onto the circuit. So this is a weird thing that happens sometimes. When a driver with a good time crashes out, sometimes even somebody who has a good time, if it's not faster than that of the guy who crashed out, that person might still not advance. So like if XRO Yun sets a 1:16, for instance, he would make it in, but there's a possibility, not a guarantee, but a possibility that would have a knock-on effect and push Jabez John below Ozda, and neither of them would advance to the next round. It's a really weird thing that this game does. I don't know if that's how it's done in real life. Qualifying or not, I've never noticed.
14 thousandths.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And if he keeps that together to the end, then Lucky Dude might be able, well, you need to improve a bit more, but if he can do that, he might be able to overtake our team English for second fastest time in the session.
He's flashing red.
18.3.
That's not bad.
Very nicely done. Lucky Doo has finally come out onto the circuit. He has the soft tires equipped. No, he has the mediums equipped, actually. So, yeah, he's not going to go too hard for this, apparently.
So he's retired. He's safe, obviously.
Yeah. Zola is almost like X2's version of XRL Flavor. Obviously, you're an X3 driver. I'm sure you understand. Oh, and coming in a party right now is XRL Pelly. Pelly, go ahead, include your audio. A spin and what seemed to be a bullcrap disqualification. What happened?
Yeah.
Yes, I hear you. Do you think you can recover and get back in the points in the race? Well, I appreciate your honesty, at least, regarding it. Alright, thank you very much. And that's the word from for our driver, XRL Pelly. Looks like it will be a last place starting position for him in today's race. As XRL Yun coming to the line to get his lap in.
Oh, that was close to invalidating, that was.
And nope, Yun is in. So you're right. He's not going to have to play any crazy games. And with that in mind, for all intents and purposes, this qualifying session is basically over.
Everyone should just return to the pits, tire. Because we don't need to be out there now. There's no point risking it.
Coming in. We see Lone Retreat coming in. Lucky Doo is still in pit lane right now. In fact, I'm seeing them putting the tire blankets on the car. Are they going to bring Lucky Doo back out to try and get him to go faster? Nope, never mind. That's the wrong guy I was looking at. I was looking at the Lone Retreat. XRL Yun on a lap is competitive compared to his prior lap, and Edgar is likely going to be coming in this circuit. So,
if I was the McLaren driver, I would just box it now. There's no, he's 6/10 up. 6/10.
Ooh, he might try and commit. No, he's around. Same area that his teammate Breezy spun at, only Yun was able to arrest the spin before it took him into the wall and took him out. But yeah, I agree with you. Now with that spin, I would consider just coming in, pitting, and dude, I think we still have like 4.5 minutes left in the session. Oh, 6.5 minutes almost left in the session. We could end up being way ahead of schedule.
I have 2 minutes, 2 minutes 10 seconds left on my screen.
Oh, 2 minutes 10. Okay, but yeah, if he decides to retire, we could be way ahead of schedule here for next round, the qualifying. I think the earliest I've ever seen us start a race was 5 minutes before the hour, so.
Could be a little bit sooner. So there's no action
Edgar's
going on.
retired in the pits. We're also waiting to see if the Lone Retreat and Lucky Doo will officially retire out in pit lane or not. But yeah, relatively quick and straightforward Q1 after one guy gets disqualified and 2 guys crash out relatively early on.
So now we're waiting on Lucky Doo and the Lone Retreat to either come back out or... Well, there goes Lone Retreat, he's retired, so look, we're just waiting on Lucky Doo now to do whatever he wants to do. We need a folk singer, because they start singing some music while we wait.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a great way to get copyright striked.
Oh.
And while XRL doesn't make their money off of the Twitch streams, they do upload later to YouTube.
Which, yeah.
And that could be an issue.
Usually an issue, isn't it, with the old YouTube. I've actually never seen one of their videos on YouTube, if I'm honest. I've never known where to find it.
Oh, yeah, so you can go and just look up Extremer Leagues or Extreme Racing League or something like that on YouTube, and it will normally come up. So if you can't do that in the Discord, there's also one of the bots kind of automatically enlighten everybody if a video goes up on their channel. So
Okay. Good information actually to know, because I actually didn't know it myself. So
yeah, the races typically go up about, depending on the length of the race and depending on the availability, they normally end up going up onto YouTube about 2 to 5 hours after the event happens.
again, yeah, I guess they have to be uploaded process, but yeah.
Yeah, XR Zola was nice enough, and he just tagged you in the social media screen section of the Discord, so you can find it.
Thanks, Zola.
But anyways, we look at it right now. The Lone Retreat, the top fastest time, 15.034. He is joined by Lucky Do, XRL Low, RTM English, XRL Matrix, and XRL Torpedo with times in the 1:15s. XRL Jigsaw is 7th with a 16. TR 4-Man has a 16 also. Find Waldo and Fizzy set their times on medium tires. Then you have XRL Edgar and Zola. They set their times on softs. Jabus, John, and Yun will also advance to the next round on medium rubber. And the 3 drivers that do not advance, Ozda, he crashed out after setting a time. Breezy crashed out before he even got to set a time. And XRL Pelly was disqualified in a, in my opinion at least, very bullcrap way.
Trying to turn your car around, it disqualifies you is a bit silly, but that's the game for you. A mix of tyres to get through. Some people using medium, some people using soft, so let's see what happens going into Q2, but I expect everyone to come out on softs because as far as we were told it's going to be a raining start, so there's no point holding back and not getting through. The only thing to spice this up would be a bit of raining quali.
Alright, as we prepare to get underway here, I imagine we're going to see almost... we may see 1 or 2 guys still try to set a lap on mediums, but frankly, the best thing to do would just be to go out, set your lap on softs, and just maximize that right off the bat. Look at that. The Alfa Romeos, the Williams.
Because everyone's gone out. Could a bit of rain be coming, maybe?
Maybe out. No. Fizzy will be the first driver out into the circuit, and in between him and Lowe is going to be the Williams. I believe that's Lucky Do. No, that's Lone Retreat between them.
I'll go on like border Lone Retreat if he stays in that position. But they're out very close.
Lucky Do is there 4th in that little line of cars. And then there's also the Ferrari of XRL Edgar behind.
Lowe's not far off to the back of the Williams either,
So a little train of 5 cars. They're not doing a great job spreading out, so I'm sure Fizzy has no problem with it, but everyone else will be suffering from everyone else's aerodynamic wake if they don't open up the gaps a bit sooner rather than later. Also, Jabus John has come out on circuit, as has RTM English, as they're currently going through Sector 1. I also see one of the Haas drivers, I believe that is finding Waldo, who has come out onto the track, as has one of the Aston Martins. I believe that one would be XRL Jigsaw.
They could be looking for a tow down that long straight. That's why they could be so close together.
It's a good point, but the counterpoint to that is that you can get a great tow down the straight, but there are a lot of medium to high-speed corners around the rest of the circuit that being in someone else's aerodynamic wake going through that, it can really harm your ability. To
won't be a problem next year. Next game.
Well, maybe not in the game, but I definitely think in real life there's still going to be a lot of issues with aerodynamic wake. I don't think the change to new regs will just make it to where, oh, you can pass wherever without issue. I do think it will be significantly better than what it's been since about 2009.
No, he dropped it by the looks of it. Just recovering.
Good news for Lowe regarding that is that it happened relatively early in the lap, so he can back way off, let everyone ahead get way away. Doesn't have to worry too much about charging ERS. He can commit to saving fuel early and can get going again. As long as he doesn't let the tires cool off too badly, he'll be in a decent position. And with Fizzy's invalidation, then that means it will be I believe the Lone Retreat, who will be the first driver to set a time in this session.
Fizzy will probably come in, bolt a new set of softs on.
Nope, he's staying out.
Gone again.
Well, Lone Retreat will set the time that everyone will be chasing with a 14.978.
Not bad.
Now we see Lucky Do cross the line, but it was only a 15.677. Now Edgar, 15.699. So I think those two were just too close to each other, and they were hampering each other's laps.
Goes on a
as we now
recovery drive, half that spin, back for another lap. He was saved his ERS by the looks of it.
And now here comes Jabus John. Pops open the DRS, and he will set a time 1:16.291. No one really matching the Lone Retreat in pace thus far. Here comes RTM English, though. He's invalidated his lap, so it goes now to the Haas's. Find Waldo One, your tile containers. He's invalidated this lap.
And his teammate, he's given his teammate a nice little slipstream down the long straight, so he can jump out the way pretty quickly.
I don't think that's intentional. Again, the Haas's have pretty much locked up the manufacturer's title. They aren't out there to help each other at this point.
Who else has come across the line? Foreman, who went on board with in the first qualifying sessions, out on his outlap. Be interesting to see what he can do, because I know in Dev Racing he raced yesterday, so to see what he got under the bonnet. English purple sector 2.
Waldo almost a 50 flat at the end of sector 2, so Waldo definitely has a good potential lap going here.
English about to come across the line.
And English will go ahead and set a lap time of 1:15.016. Not quite in the 14s, so Lone Retreat's still the only driver in the 14s. Maybe Waldo can do it. Nope. Waldo 15.074, Matrix 15.307.
That's interesting. 3 drivers within a tenth of each other. Game on, I say. 4 drivers, sorry. No, 3, yeah, 3. Get it right.
Yeah. Still. Zola in the middle of the lap right now, and TIR Foreman has just started his flyer.
Gone board Foreman.
Right now, it looks to me, I think if you're Lucky Do or if you're in the top 5 right now, I think you're pretty much safe to go into the next round of qualifying. Beyond that, though, it's a bit iffy. Zola is running on medium tires. Now, Zola has made it very clear before he does not trust the weather predictions. He'll normally run counter to whatever the weather predictions say, and it works out for him. So he set that time on medium tires, 17.7. He's way off pace, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Zola doesn't even really try to make it into the top 10 to start the event.
Foreman into the final sector, a 50 flat for the first 2 sectors. Here's the next one across the line.
The DRS pops open, and Foreman in the Williams will set a 1:15.777. Lucky numbers, but might not be a lucky lap. He bobbled a bit coming onto the straight, and I think that may have taken a bit of time away from him.
He lost a couple of attempts, I think.
Fizzy has now come on, begun an outlap. He's behind Foreman right now on the circuit, but obviously not really trying to get a toe off of him right now. I think the Alfa Romeo car, he's more focused on getting the tires warmed up. Torpedo and Yun both attempted to come out into the circuit earlier, but neither of them were able to set a lap, although it looks like Torpedo is on the run down pit lane now.
I think Soda might come back out on a set of softs, maybe. If he doesn't want to start out to the top 10, he'll need to, because that time, if the other guys get a lap in, won't be good enough to start anywhere near the top 10. But English
with it being And with it being highly likely that we're going to have a wet weather start, that means that the tire compound choice here really won't matter. Under a normal circumstance, I would say, even at a circuit like this, it's usually better to start 11th on fresh tires that you're choosing than starting 10th on worn out softs.
Yeah.
But that's really not the case here. With rain in the area, unless you anticipate there being a lot of chaos in the midfield, track position is going to be key, and it would be better to, get into the top 10 rather than start 11th.
Yeah,
but that's also my opinion.
Yeah, Fizz is on now on his first fly lap that he's not invalidated. So let's see what he can do.
Torpedo also out on track in the middle of a lap. Edgar has also just begun a lap as well. We also see, I believe that is Zola. Yep, just like you said, Zola out on circuit, going to improve.
Set of softs. So let's see what he can do.
Ooh, Fizzy, big twitch there in Sector 2.
He done well to catch that. If that was spun, he would have ended up going backwards into a wall.
And possibly getting disqualified.
Yeah, we don't know about this game.
Getting spun there doesn't really seem to be as much of an issue for the car. It seems to be more like, is the game going to DQ you? It's honestly the most aggravating thing. At least if you crash out, you can say, yeah, it's fully me. When it's the game that screws you over, and Fizzy invalidates in the final corner and immediately has to abort.
I think he was going to come in anyway and stick a new set of tires on.
Torpedo has already invalidated his lap as well, clabbering over those corners.
Luckily, the underfloor damage ain't on, because, well, he wouldn't have an underfloor left.
I won't lie, I'd be really interested to see a league in this game with full damage, but I also know that a lot of races like that would get really aggravating, because there'd be like one or two guys who they would be really, really poor on speed, but it wouldn't matter because they're so slow, they would back into wins all the time.
Yeah, Sola's now coming into the last few corners of Sector 1 to see what he can do. You don't use as much as the entry curve onto the section that he just went through, and he's invalidated.
Invalidates.
And he was
So we're in the last 5 minutes of the session, and Torpedo has had a spin coming out of the final corner. Well, not final corner, the first corners. No damage to the car, but nobody from about 10th on down seems to be having a good time trying to put laps in.
Biz is back out on track on a brand new set of tyres. Hopefully he can now hook it up and get outside that bottom 4 and put a good...
Jan has not yet gotten onto the circuit.
He could be waiting.
This is getting really, really weird, though. Especially by X2 standards, normally by this point, nearly everyone has set a time, unless they're intentionally waiting until the last possible moment. Zola's invalidated this lap, so...
You're going to need a 15-4 to be safe, I think. A high 15, a low 15 to be safe, because from 6th downwards, you're on the bubble.
Yeah. Now, I have to agree. I think right now, if you're... Edgar's iffy. I think Edgar could probably stay in and be fine, but if you're low, Foreman, Jigsaw, or John, all it takes is some of these guys down here finally get laps together. You could be screwed.
And as we say that, people are starting to come out onto the track.
I'm now seeing Jigsaw. He's come out onto the circuit. Davis John in the middle of a lap. Torpedo trying to get another lap working as well. At least this time Torpedo got through the first corners without issue. Zola, I was always saying earlier, making a comparison, Zola is kind of like the XRO flavor for the X2 series. He is really not that great when it comes to qualifying, but Zola always performs in the race because he's very good at just calling decent strategies, usually going inverse of the game, and then avoiding time penalties, and in turn, he ends up with a lot of good finishes and taking home points pretty frequently. So, yeah, I would not be surprised if Zola comes home with a good run. Well, the good news for Zola, he's finally got a lap in. That's good. The bad news is it's still not fast enough to get him into the top 10.
that looked faster than that time.
Oh, and Torpedo and the Aston Martin of Jigsaw both went off circuit there in Sector 2. Fizzy takes advantage of that. He's going to go flying by now.
Fizzy's on the lap. Let's see what he can do.
At the line, it's going to be a 1:15.705. So that squeezes Dawn out. Now Jigsaw is on the bubble. Jigsaw's already reacted as he's beginning his flyer. Torpedo, invalid prior lap, but he's pushing it now, trying to go one more time.
I don't think the McLaren's coming out.
Yeah, I don't think they are either.
1:30 on the clock.
I wonder if XRL Yun thinks that he doesn't have this pace to go fast enough, so he's not even going to burn through the tires. He'll just take the worst starting position and try to avoid chaos on the first lap.
The Ferrari's about to start a lap. I think Jigsaw's coming across the line. No, not.
No, he's coming into the pits actually.
That's Zola, I think.
Oh yeah, that is Zola. Okay, never mind. Yeah, Jigsaw's just come out of Sector 2. Torpedo, another twitch coming uphill there. 50.930 at the end of Sector 2. Again, for Torpedo, he's just trying to set a lap right now.
People have got some twitchy rear ends on this car. I wonder what kind of wings they're running. Because here you wanna have enough downforce through the probably 75% of the track. Because
ooh, wow, Torpedo really sliding the rear of that car out of the last corner at the line. Not a great time, 1:16.691.
It's a tricky track to get your wings right around here because down the long straight, there's only one really here. You've got to have enough speed to not to get caught in like a sitting bus. But
oh, and Jigsaw hard into the wall! Massive airborne impact! He's done for!
Oh dear. It was through as well.
And a massive impact for XRL Jigsaw, who normally broadcasts these X races. Got the option to go ahead and race in it. And while his race isn't done, his qualifying is over. So now the focus goes back to Torpedo. Can he improve and potentially squeeze his way into the top 10? Because right now, the way it's looking, only 9 drivers are set to make it for the pole shootout. All right, and coming into the podium right now is XRL Jigsaw. Jigsaw, include your audio. Massive accident after you set a relatively decent lap. What happened?
Oh, I was pushing thinking I won't through, and then just as I was getting to the corner, I was told I'm through, and then I still pushed it and just went straight into the wall. Oh my god.
It was a massive impact. The
Such a big
goodish news, I guess, you're still looking like you're going to start the race in 10th position. Do you think you can recover in the race itself and get higher up the grid?
I don't know. It's the first X2 race I've done in a very long time, and the pace seems to have got quicker. So we'll have to try. I'll have to try my hardest, I think, without crashing.
All right. Well, it's interesting to hear your voice again, even when you're not supposed to be in the broadcast booth. Hopefully, this doesn't happen again today, or if it does, it's at the end of the race after you bring home a good finish.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Good luck, lad.
Cheers. Mm-hmm. Enjoy the rest of qualifying in the race.
Try to.
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah. All right, so that's the end of Q2 of the 14 drivers. The lone retreat, the only person in the 14s with a 14.978. They still have not beaten Chubby's time that he set the pole with in X3 yet.
That was rapid.
Yeah, that was rapid. Our team English, second fastest in the Red Bull, then Waldo in the Haas. Edgar splits the Haas in his own Ferrari. Matrix, your current points leader, is 5th. Lucky Do is 6th in the Alpine. Then the Alphas, 7th and 8th. So they might be able to do some drafting shenanigans with each other if they so choose. And Foreman rounds out in 9th. Jigsaw, after crashing out, he will not be allowed to run in Q3.
Foreman's doing pretty well, isn't he, for a guy that's not really unknown in this league. He's doing pretty well for what I've seen.
So now it's just a bit of a standby until we get underway for the final round of qualifying.
Which is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Especially when there's a 10th between the top 3 in Q2. This has taken a bit of a while to load.
I wonder if someone didn't properly ready up for the next round.
Yeah. It'll be counting down from like a minute or something.
So I am curious. I'm just curious on your opinion.
Okay.
You know qualifying is going to be all dry. You know you have a very, very high reason to believe the race is going to start in the wet,
Yeah.
but it's going to dry out, but you don't know how much it's going to dry out or when that's going to start happening.
Yeah.
How do you set the car up? Do you set it up for pure wet so you are guaranteed, or at least increase your guarantee you can survive the start of the race? Do you go for more of a hybrid setup? Or do you go for a full dry, struggle early on, but then try to make up a bunch of time and a bunch of positions into closing laps?
Well, it depends when if it's going to dry out relatively quickly, then you go for a dry setup all day long. If it's midway through, you may go for a
Asda,
hybrid.
ready up! Sorry, go ahead.
You
Keep
may
going.
go if it's drying halfway through, then you'll probably go for like a hybrid, maybe a click of extra rear wing or a click of something just to keep it a bit more stable. But if it's going to be wet to like the last 5-10 laps, then you want to. Most people I know put a gamble with a wet setup because you want that car to be stable through the corners, and then out of the slow speed corners you can get a good exit. So yeah, it just goes. Some people can handle dry setup in the wet, but then some people are relatively crap with a dry setup in the wet. It goes on how you drive and everything like that. Me personally, I like a pointy front end, so I'd rather go for a wet setup if it's going to be wet throughout the race. So I don't know if you race yourself.
I used to, but not very much in this game. I've ran a few times in this game, in the dev series. That almost always ended up with me getting crashed out in the first 2 or 3 laps of an event. So, and the
Not
one
good.
time that didn't happen, it didn't matter because I kept crashing, and under VSC, I was losing so much time that I was at risk of getting penalized. I'm not good with this game. I don't like how this game handles at all. I come from the Forza Motorsport and classic Gran Turismo games.
Oh
so.
God, terrible. Just terrible.
I can get more feeling out. I can get more feeling from the cars out of those games than I can with this. Now I don't know how much of that is just because I never got used to this game or what, but
It takes a lot getting used to. Like the last Formula One, 2020 felt good, but the curbs. If you run a curb on this game, I know they took downforce off the cars this year, but you can't run the curbs at all because sometimes it just sends you into orbit. It's a bit silly, to be fair.
yeah. Now, I didn't really have too much of an issue with the curbs usually. I ran at Singapore, and there was somebody who disconnected in qualifying. Their car loaded on the track irregardless. It was unbearably slow. The AI left the lane open. I pulled up alongside, and they cut right into me just to nose me into a wall. I ran it in Japan. I actually finished that race, but I was a lap down, and under the VSC, I actually nearly got disqualified for not keeping pace.
Bloody hell.
But I did finish that one at least. Then I ran at Mexico, and Mexico was the worst because this game, at least from my experience, there is no feedback. There's no downforce. It feels like in this game. There feels like there's no grip in the high-speed corners. So I go into the S's, and I turn, and the car just straight lines right off.
Maybe
then
tapping the brakes would help.
I mean, I was told don't bother braking. If you had enough downforce, you would be able to take it flat. So take the first corner in the S's flat. But I don't know. And then at Brazil, I actually had a good start. I actually gained like 2 positions right off the start. And then just as you came onto the back straightaway, McLaren came all the way across the track, slammed into me, and knocked me into a wall hard enough that I flipped over.
Cool.
So
I've not seen that on this game yet. I've not seen anyone flip a car personally yet.
Doesn't happen. It honestly doesn't happen very often. I think the way the physics work, it just doesn't enable it to happen very often. Christ. So, yeah, all that time that we gained from an early end to Q1 has now been lost. So...
And we're running behind schedule as well now.
Yeah.
So there's only nine drivers in Q3.
Yeah.
Who would be the first one out, I wonder?
Well, one thing to consider is that there are 2 teams that are going to be able to do some drafting shenanigans if they so choose.
Haas and Red Bull. Is that Red Bull colour?
Alfa Romeo.
Alfa Romeo.
Wait, no, yeah, you are right, actually. Because, yeah, I think that's the Williams, not Red Bull. I think that's both Williams that are out on track as well. So there are actually 3 teams that can do some drafting shenanigans. Well, first one to get out onto the circuit is going to be a Haas. It looks like it's going to be Find Waldo.
Again, everyone's coming out at the same time.
Yeah, it seems like the only person who's not rushing to get onto the circuit is your points leader at Matrix right now.
So what do you think we're going to get for pole? What do you think the time will be? If you had to have a guess.
I'm really not going to. I'm really not going to guess. I'm not even going to guess on the time. The big thing is, I think a lot of the drivers know that this race is going to be in wet weather conditions, so a lot of people really had no reason to push. I don't think we've seen anyone showcase what they actually can or can't do with these cars.
This is when you want to do it now.
Yeah.
Because you want to be at the front with the wet conditions. You want to be first and second. You don't want to be in the pack, because all hell can break loose if not.
Yeah, this is true. I will go ahead and say this, though. If you talk to me in about 12 minutes, then maybe I can tell you who gets pole.
Fair enough.
So all 10 drivers out on track. Find Waldo, the first one across the line, very nearly spins the car in that very first chicane, but keeps it together and is still pumping it around the circuit here.
He takes some beautiful lines, he's flying. He's going to be the first driver across the line as well.
Right on board the Haas. I love this section right here, running right into almost 2 blind corners. The second one kind of coming uphill. It's amazingly technical. It's absolutely fascinating to watch when somebody nails that perfectly.
A 49.8. That's quick. Could be on for a low 14.
If you can make that stick, it might get him the pole position or at least a front row start. Runs a little wide in the final corner, but he kept it clean at the line. 14.759.
Same as Chubby. Lowe's a second off.
Times all over the sheets right now. No one else, right at the moment at least, is able to get into the 14s, it would appear. RTM English aborts his lap early on. Lone Retreat's in the 14s at least, and Edgar gets up to third in the 15s. But for Lucky Do, Low, Fizzy, Foreman, I think all of those could probably improve a bit. Now Matrix 15.068, and the Ferrari's around! Hard! Edgar! Send it into the wall, he's out!
That's a big crash to end up there. Easily done, so clipping the inside curb, back in would have stepped out.
The front suspension on the car damaged. Now the good news is it happened in the last session at least, so he will be able to record and retain that time. So he is at least going to start 9th, and at best start 4th. So yeah, he might not be able to improve on his time, but it could be a lot worse for him.
I expect everyone to come in now and put a brand new set of tyres on, and probably wait till the last 2 minutes and come out, because that's the optimal time to leave the pits with 2 minutes to go.
I think the only exception seems to be RTM English. He aborted his lap earlier, so now he's going to be out on track when he is basically the only person on the circuit.
That's a good thing in one way, but no pressure to watch out for other cars. He can just put a lap together and see what.
Although I imagine English will be absolutely furious if someone decides to come down pit road and end up on the circuit right in front of him as he starts his flyer.
Yeah, that would be a bit inconvenience, definitely.
I'm not seeing any movement in pit lane yet, so it looks like English might get lucky and still have a clean track ahead of him when he finally does get this lap in. He just needs to make sure he doesn't invalidate.
Here we go. Oh, there's a car coming out as well. Oh.
They're just far enough on the road that I think English might be able to overtake one of them, but I don't think he's going to be able to overtake XRL Low. So he's going to have to hope that Low pulls off circuit at a point on the track that doesn't sacrifice the Red Bull's momentum.
Low needs to get out of the way. Yeah, he does.
Alright, and he does. And he does it early enough that he doesn't compromise English's lap too much. So now it's back to clean track for the Red Bull. What can he do? Now we're seeing Fizzy coming out of pit lane as well. 50.341 at the end of Sector 2. Christ, Foreman very nearly invalidated, clabbering over the curbs there in that final chicane. Now it's the run down to the last 2 corners.
Need to get a good exit here. Didn't quite hook the
Red Bull
apex.
looks a little bit slidey when he tossed it into the second to last corner. All right, English at the line, 15.268. That's good enough for 4th at the moment.
Not a bad lap at all.
So now the focus goes on to XRL Low and Lucky Do and Fizzy. And now we're seeing a Haas come out onto the circuit. That is Waldo.
Ooh, Low's lost it. Just kept out of the wall. Might have wing damage.
He's lucky that happened early on in the lap and he kept it out of the wall, so he can let everyone else go by. He can just kind of pitter-patter around the circuit. As long as he keeps the tires warm, he should be able to manage his fuel well enough to get one more shot at this.
That's if he's got no wing damage, that is, out on the wall.
You do make a good point. We've seen a lot of times where, from our perspective, we don't see any wing damage, but there is apparently wing damage that the car takes, so...
Lucky Dude's 2 temps
front
up
wings
coming
in
into
this
the final sector. Front wings in this game are like chocolate. You touch it and it goes off.
I guess with that comparison, we could say that lap 1 is like a box of chocolates. You never know whose front wing you're going to get.
yeah. That's a good one, yeah.
Alright, well, Lucky Dew has improved up to 4th with a 1:15.131, but right now, only Find Waldo and the Lone Retreat have set times in the 14s.
Fizzy's on the lap. He's 2 temps up coming into the final sector.
If he can keep that improvement going, he would still only be 8th. But if he can double that, he might at least be able to overtake Lowe, his teammate, for 7th.
Needs to hook this corner up, and he does. Gets on the power nice and early. Straight lines the car. But only found 3 temps.
He did improve, but again, the gap between himself and Lowe was so massive that it really wasn't enough to do anything with. So now we see the Lone Retreat. He has come out onto the circuit. Waldo is in the middle of a lap right now. XR Matrix is on an out lap, so both of the Haas's going to try and improve here.
I think
we're in the
Waldo had a
last 2
mistake
minutes of the session.
because he's warmed his tyres up. I think he's gonna pop it here and go. There we go. Ooh. Bit lucky dudes out of fuel.
And TIR Foreman now out on track, so all of the cars that have not crashed out, all 8 of them, are on circuit right now, trying to improve here in these closing seconds. Waldo up by 74 thousandths at the end of Sector 1.
He's on another one.
So he's...
Improved by 4 temps.
Waldo's invalidated his lap. Fizzy has improved, so he's now at 15.427. English now crosses the line. He's going to go for another flyer. And here comes the Lone Retreat out of the final corner. He has the second fastest time thus far and is about to try and go faster. Low beginning his lap. Find Waldo crosses the line, but he's going to have to go again. Here comes Matrix. Does he improve? Matrix improves up to 3rd. 1:14.978. But that's not going to be enough to put him on the front row. He needs to find even more time.
And qualifying has ended. English is up by 2.5 temps.
Foreman could play Mystery Man here. His best time thus far is about a 1.5 seconds, actually closer to the second, 1.4 seconds off of Lowe's time, but if he finds enough time to make up, he might be able to upset the order a little bit farther up. Lucky Dude not able to improve, obviously. English, 14.907, so he's faster than Matrix on a single lap at least by only about 700ths. Here comes the Lone Retreat. Lone Retreat, pole position, 14.576. Will he be able to maintain that over Waldo? Because Waldo is up by a 10th right now at the end of Sector 2 alone.
Boom! Here comes Foreman across the line, 1.1 seconds up. 6th!
He will steal 6th. And Matrix does not improve beyond 4th. What an interesting run to the end, though. Saw 2 last-minute, almost last-second changes for the pole position, but in the end, Find Waldo trying to secure his championship. takes pole with a 14.559. The lone retreat on the Williams, 14.566. Look at that gap between first and second. 17 thousandths of a second, mate. Impressive.
And Foreman, who was in a 117s, found 1.2 seconds to go P6, which is not a bad bit of time to find.
Yeah, indeed. Outstanding job. Also, want to go ahead and give Edgar some credit. Despite crashing out, the time that he set was still good enough for him to secure 7th. So, obviously, you can say, what if? Well, I mean, he's 7th. He's not 9th or 10th. So, for the Alfa Romeo boys' frustration, it seems like they were not able to get their cars fully hooked up. Lowe, the only driver who was more than a second off of Waldo's time. In fact, Lowe was more than a second off of the time of both of our front row starters. So, yeah, not looking good for him. I have to wonder, though, maybe some of these drivers have more of a hybrid setup or a full wet setup, and their lap times were being compromised a bit because of that.
Highly possible. We obviously don't know when the rain's going to stop, or even if it does stop. We know we've been told it's at the start, but that's all we know.
Yeah, that's the other thing. If you have rain on the track and the rain doesn't go away until 5 laps to the end, well, the circuit's still going to be wet when the checkers fall. So
definitely an interesting race, I think, we've got ahead of us.
Mm-hmm. Here's hoping that we can avoid a lap 1 pileup like what we saw in X3.
Yeah. I think they need to just keep it clean and they'll be fine.
You know, I say that about X3, but for those of you who did not watch the X3 race, outside of that lap 1 pileup, it was green for the entire event. There was a brief virtual safety car near the end of the race, but only one early yellow flag, and it was full racing beyond that point. So definitely a very interesting race, good race. It was just had a kind of a messy start, and that was it.
Didn't 2 drivers crash out? Or did crash out? Yeah, 2 drivers went out on lap 1. So.
But in a 20-car field, we still had 15 of them finish. Honestly, it should have been 16, but one of the guys got disqualified because the game was going to be, silly and stupid.
Now we wait a few minutes before we go. Now we see what tyres we're going to be starting on now. Hopefully, for us, for a bit of entertainment, it's full wets. And I think it is going to be full wets by the looks of them weather conditions.
There's some deep puddles that are on pit lane, at least, as we pull up the race director real quickly. Yeah, everyone right now has full wets equipped. Before we get into the race itself, I want to go ahead and bring everyone who's watching up to date on the current point standings as they are right now for the X2 series. When it comes to the Manufacturers' Championship, Alpine has finally broken into the triple digits. They are 10th with 101 points. 9th is the AlphaTauri team. They have 131 points. 8th is Alfa Romeo. They have 146. 7th is Red Bull with 159. 6th is Aston Martin with 200 even. 5th is Williams with 217. 4th is McLaren with 234. 3rd is Scuderia Ferrari with 280. 2nd is Mercedes with 301. 1st, Haas. They've pretty much locked up the Manufacturers' Championship. 408 points this season. Absolutely incredible what they've done. Mercedes, now that XRL Dino has pulled out from the series, they've kind of stalled out, and the Ferrari boys have put their stuff together. So there is a fight for 2nd, at least, in the Manufacturers' Championship, with Edgar and Pelli trying to close what's right now a 21-point gap to take 2nd in that, but no one's touching Haas when it comes to that Manufacturers' Championship. When it comes to the Drivers' Championship, it's as follows. Fable is 19th with 1 point. Harry5902 is 18th with 2. Mr. Schmee is 17 with 16 points. Franz W31 has 33. RB Llama has 34. XRL Ozza is 14th with 41 points. XRO Low is 13th with 50. Mr. Neon has 54 points. James John is 11th with 55. XRO Yun is 10th with 62 points. The 9th is Lone Retreat with 64 points. 8th is Fizzy with 73. 7th is Torpedo with 76. And he is in a direct tie with Zola for the 6th position, as they both have 76 points. 5th is XRL Pelly with 128. 4th is XRL Edgar with 152. 3rd is Smoothie 25 with 157. He's been at that point for 3 races, but has not shown up, so there's a high likelihood he's going to get overtaken by a Ferrari. And then your 2 championship contenders. 2nd is XRL Waldo with 194 points. 1st is XRL Matrix with 213. So, yeah, about a 19-point split between 1st and 2nd right now. If Matrix has an accident or bad run, we could see Waldo close right up or even leapfrog ahead in the title fight.
Very. Obviously, I've not been keeping up with X2, so I don't know what's been going on.
Yeah, this will probably end up being the last X2 race that I end up covering this season. Next week is the Daytona 500, and I don't want to miss that. And then the week after that, IndyCar season finally starts up. Of course, they do a thing where they do one race, and they have a month break for their next race. But still, I do not want to miss the Daytona 500, even if I don't really care for NASCAR much. You never miss the biggest race of a top-tier series if you can help it.
Well, it's like Monaco with Formula 1. If you miss that race, you're not a proper Formula 1 fan, in my opinion. It's a great race.
I agree.
To watch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A minute. A minute.
Let you finish what you're eating.
This is my opinion, at least on Monaco. And it's a godforsaken shame that the track is broken in this game. But Monaco is a fascinating race to watch simply because it's like trying to ride a bicycle in a tatami mat room, in a Japanese tatami mat room where you only have like 3 or 4 square meters to yourself. It's crazy seeing how they're manhandling these 900 to 1100 horsepower beasts around a circuit that's honestly way too bloody small, even for cars in the late 80s. It's incredible. Yeah, I know 90% of the race work is done on Saturday, but it doesn't matter. It's still absolutely incredible watching them do that.
But you can get a
now, if I
want to
see Now, if I want to see overtaking at Monaco, well, that's what Formula E is for. Now that they finally run the entire circuit there. But, dude, it's unironically, Monaco and Montreal are the 2 Formula 1 races that, even if everything else in F1 is completely trashed and Ferrari left the sport, I'd still tune in for those 2 events.
Yeah. Another track that's probably fantastic is you can't beat Silverstone. You can't beat it.
I am of mixed opinions with Silverstone. I really, really liked Silverstone back in the day, back in the 90s, all the way up until the 2000s. Yeah. It was fascinating, but when the most recent reprofiling and reorganizing they did with it, I'm not a fan of how it's turned the circuit myself.
Yeah, well,
it's not the worst, but I have a massive, massive preference for how the track was built for, I think it was 2008 and before.
The track was built in 2000. It's an old airfield. It's been there since
yeah, but they reprofile what parts of the airfield get used. So, and I don't like how the current setup is much. It's not the worst, but it's not that great in my opinion. There are way too many just weird kind of clunky corners. I understand why. Oh, well, time to stop talking, I guess. Full wet weather start as we're preparing to get underway on the racetrack. 10 seconds to go. Championship contenders, teammates fighting. 1 star in front row, 1 star in second row. And there's a lot of other stuff up for grabs as we load onto the circuit.
Oh, I'm a bit behind.
Come on, game. Come on, game.
Here we go.
There we are. 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out. Away we go here at Imola. And right off the bat, the Lone Retreat had a much better start than Find Wono. It's a dead heat at the front of the grid. But look at Matrix. He's going to try to go to the outside of his teammate. The Lone Retreat has the lead. And Matrix around the outside of Find Wono. Lucky to have gone off circuit in the back of the grid. They're still fighting side by side DNF English. He wants to upset Matrix's run. Waldo will hold on to second for a moment, and in just a single sector alone, the lone retreat opens up a 1.5-second gap on the championship contenders.
Now the interesting thing is, I'm going through, and some drivers are on the field. There's a banking on a safety car. Also, I just saw the racing strategy. Two sets of full wets, so it looks like it's going to be a full wet race.
It'd be a very interesting scenario, to say the least. Also, here's the thing, if it's starting this wet, we may get to a point where everyone goes, and the rain goes away, we may still see a scenario where drivers go from wets to intermediates. So that could be interesting as well, because calling that change properly would be big.
Yeah.
I'm watching Pelly and Torpedo fight near the back, but look at the lone retreat. He's already opened up 2-second gap over the Haas's. So outstanding job. He is walking off with it. Jigsaw, though, contact on the first lap. He has to pit to repair damage to the car. Rough start in the Aston Martin.
Soda's dropped 4 positions. Borman's dropped 5. I think he must have got the overall spin.
Azda has rebounded up into 10th spot, but now the field's starting to get a little bit spread out. Again, under these extreme wet weather conditions, you're really not going to see a whole lot of driver-on-driver overtake after the first lap or two. Most of the overtakes at that point will just be, well, if the person ahead made a big enough mistake, then you can just outrun them to a corner, or obviously taking advantage of someone else ahead spinning.
Yeah, Lucky Dude's right behind Mr. English. English, not Mr. English, and he's pushing him quite hard. Oh, Lucky Dude's snapped oversteer.
That will let English open up the gap just a little bit more. Under braking, the Alpine tries to close in, and Lowe's out!
Oh, safety car maybe?
Yeah, that's a virtual safety car right off the bat pretty much. And for Lowe, he will be the first DNF of the event, sadly.
Safety car, full safety. This is the interesting thing is, if it's going to be full wets the whole race, you don't need a pit. You can do a whole race distance on these tyres. Especially now
I think you are mandated to change tires at least once in a race, even if it's a full wet weather. Right?
No. You don't have to change at all.
Alright, fair enough. Anyway, coming into the party right now is XRL Lowe. Lowe, accident before you even completed 2 laps here under race conditions. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I changed the rear tire pressure right before the beginning of the race. I don't know if it was... yeah, had a big mistake and came out of the corner and pushed a bit too much gas. Back to the drawing board.
Alright, rough run. There are only 2 more races left in the season. Portimao and Jeddah. Do you think you'll be able to rebound at those 2 events?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, right? It seems like just rain. Everything is rain now. So, I don't know. I guess we're going to have to start tuning for the rain a little bit more. And, I don't know. I just thought I had a good car for today's race. Good. Another unlucky race. Another unlucky week.
Alright, well, shame that this happened to you, but thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us.
No problem. GG guys, have fun. Enjoy the race.
Alright, well, under the safety car, Yun and Zola got into it a bit, and Zola subsequently had an accident that has ripped his entire front wing off, so...
Sorry, I was replying with this. I'm sorry. Also, someone picked up a penalty. I don't know who it was. Don't know. Obviously, I'm not going to say it on stream. I'll tell you. Hang on. Let me tell you who it was. Who picked up the pen? It was Jigsaw who picked up the penalty.
Oh! Is that McLaren's just gone off? Yeah, Breezy's just spun off and crashed on his own coming out of the final corner. So that's 2 cars that have crashed under this yellow flag under full wet weather conditions. Zola and Breezy both have had accidents that have ripped their front wings off. Now, the good news is they're already near the back of the grid, so it's really not going to affect the lap for the race, but that's really condemning. Zola, they are equipping intermediate tires in the Aston Martin camp for him.
Is that a mistake?
Same with Breezy.
Is that a mistake?
I don't know if it's a mistake or
Collision
what.
under
Yun
safety
now
car.
gets a penalty for a collision with Torpedo, apparently.
But Torpedo's P12, and oh yeah, sorry, my brain looked at the other McLaren Breezy.
Yeah, this is going to be weird. Zola and Breezy, here's the real question. Can Zola and Breezy catch up to the back of the grid before this lap is up? Because if they do, I think that kind of guarantees that, yeah, the intermediates are at least competent under the current circumstances.
I'm just gone bored of one of them watching, so what kind of grip they've got. To be honest, I think it could be Inters, you know? It don't look that bad.
Nah, I don't think it is yet. I think they should have probably waited one more lap. But then again, I guess in Zola and Breezy's favor, I guess if you waited one more lap on the circuit and you already have the inners on, you're ahead of everyone else. Yeah, no, Zola is really feather-footing it around most of the circuit right now, and he's going out of his way to try to stay on the racing line. Even that doesn't seem to be working too well for him. He's still 22 seconds out from the back of the grid, and normally by now you'd be a lot closer.
And also almost lost it. The back end snapped on him through the corner.
Yeah. Breezy, accident.
Oh,
Trying to get back underway now. There he is. He's finally moving again, but yeah, I don't think intermediates were the right choice, at least at this point in the event for Breezy. Maybe Zola can make it work, but even then it seems really iffy on his ability to keep the car on the racetrack right now.
yeah. Well, they're really struggling even for 5th gear just to keep traction. So does Peter.
Yeah, Zola's coming in
Drive through penalty for Breezy.
for speeding under the safety car. Bullcrap. Bullcrap. One of the many ways that the game is stupid. Well, I imagine Breezy's going to pit anyway to... No, he's not pitting. He's staying out.
He's gambling. The safety car might be in this lap, you know.
I'm almost positive the safety car will be coming in this lap. For Zola, they went ahead and put another set of intermediates on.
What?
So now I think there might actually be I don't know if it's a glitch or just bold stupidity or what, but these guys are basically committed now to trying to run this next stint of the race on intermediate tires. But again, I don't know if Breezy's even going to catch the back of the grid.
The thing is, if it clears up in the next lap or two, they could have done a master stroke here. If not,
Yeah, but that's a big if.
because I still see standing big puddles of water.
There's the word. Safety car officially will be coming in this lap. I don't know if Breezy's going to catch. Zola is not going to catch the back of the grid. I can say that with almost certainty. I don't know if Breezy's going to. All right, so looking at the front now, the Lone Retreat will be leading 2 Haas's. How does he choose to back up the field coming to the green flag?
Well, there's no DRS.
This is
It's
true.
wet. And
This
anyway,
is true, but if
after-
Waldo or Matrix do a good enough job putting power down, they could pull alongside the Williams going into the braking zone.
And,
Find Waldo right underneath the rear wing. He's got the momentum. He's got the run. He looks to the outside. Neck and neck under braking, but Waldo has to pull out of it at the end. Matrix wants to try and find a way through. Can't capitalize on his teammate's misfortune. Farther back, the rest of the field pretty much stayed single file all the way back to about 14th. And Breezy, credit to him, he didn't catch the back of the grid, but he's only about 3 seconds off the back of him right now. So it could have gone a lot worse there. At the front, though, the Lone Retreat's not been able to open up the same gap that he did at the initial start of the race. Torpedo and Pelly fighting for the 11th place position right now. And when I say fighting, it's more like the guy behind is just trying to pressure the guy in front into making a mistake. Very start and stoppy in the back of the field right now. And that's let Breezy actually close up to about 1.8 seconds out from the back of the grid. So for the moment, at least, those... Yeah, for the moment, at least, the inters don't seem like a bad decision. Only problem is for Zola, he just was not able to catch the back of the grid. And there we are, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Almost everyone who's not the leader is pitting all of a sudden. I think everyone's going to go ahead and throw on intermediates. This is what Breezy was looking for.
Has Solar P16 come into the last couple of corners? Has he done a master stroke? He might have done one.
Yeah, Zola will have the advantage that his tires were already up to temperature, and I think he's going to pull out in the middle of the field.
Ooh.
But yeah, Lone Retreat and Edgar now leading over Breezy. I think Breezy's going to end up being the default race leader by a massive amount.
Look at
Zola flies up to 5th. Outstanding job on his part. And Breezy is also going to be 3rd, and he's in position to inherit the race lead once the top 2 pit.
So, Breezy's on 2 lap old inters, and P1 and P2 are on 6 laps wets. It's all about what Breezy and Finding Water can do now in the next 2 lap. If they can
Gap
compete.
between 3rd and 4th, 16.8 seconds.
That's what I'm
Christ
thinking.
alive.
To tell you, it's going to be close on this pit exit between them two. Yep, P1 pitted. And P2.
So the top 2 finally paying to get off the full
And
wet weather
Breezy.
tires and throwing on intermediates. And Breezy is pitting as well. Strange decision, because that's going to drop Breezy back into the midfield, and that also gives Find Waldo, or will give Find Waldo, the lead back without issue. The Lone Retreat's going to come back onto the circuit. So this is going to get close. I think, yeah, Zola's just set the fastest lap. I think Zola might actually end up in 2nd or 3rd position now.
Third. Nice. What a lap.
Breezy gets a time penalty for corner cutting and
Breezy's
immediately spins. Well, all the great strategies in the world don't mean anything if you can't control the car, I guess. Farther up the grid, Edgar goes by Ozda and Javis Don. Ozda's trying to fight back, and he's sideways. He spins off circuit, arrests the spin before he hits anything, but now Ozda drops out points paying positions. Trying to hold off TIR Foreman, but Foreman can't find a way by. Ooh, Jigsaw, Javis John made contact there. Ozda now pulls up alongside Javis John. He'll go by for 11th. Now it's Foreman's turn to go by.
Javis John's got end plate damage.
At the front, a 4.2 second lead now for Find Waldo, followed by the Lone Retreat. And the Lone Retreat was leading by about half a second, but the choice by Waldo to come in and throw on intermediates a lap earlier has turned into what's basically a 5-second differential in Waldo's favor now.
And he's just pulling the gap now. Oh, Jigsaw's in the gravel. And again. A drag race between him and Foreman.
Lucky Dude gets by Zola farther up the grid. Zola does not seem to have lap-by-lap pace, though, to maintain the track position that his strategy has given him.
Jigsaw just out. Paces Foreman down into T1. Mr. English on Solar.
Zola's going to have the outside line, and in that corner, at least, outside line is a good defensive run because you can get on the power early enough that you can out-drag someone to the following corner. As we see, English got the position anyway, but still.
Matrix and the Haas P9 on the Ferrari P8.
Matrix, obviously, he was looking to try and lock up the title, or at least come significantly closer to lock up the title coming into this event. Right now, though, his rival is leading, and Matrix is 9th. If they finish where they are now, Waldo would take the points lead back. Ozda is back into the points paying position in 10th, but he's the only Mercedes on track, and he's running 10th while the 2 Ferraris are 7th and 8th. So with that, although the Ferraris wouldn't automatically overtake the Mercedes for second manufacturer points, they would continue to close the gap in their favor by a significant amount. Edgar's gotten by Zola, and now we're going to see Kelly try and do the same thing to the Aston Martin.
Racing penalty for Breezy. Oh, not a good race. Ooh, 4K safety car. Someone binned it.
Davis Dawn crashed trying to come out of the last corner, and a full course safety car. This works out well for Torpedo, though, because he'll be able to catch up to the back of the grid. But for Davis Dawn, frustration and an early DNF. Does anyone elect to pit? I don't imagine anyone's going to pit unless they have damage right now, but... Now, the track is still definitely wet enough to warrant continuing to stick with intermediates.
Yeah, unless you want damage or you want a brand new set of tyres, then there's no point going in.
Jigsaw will come in. I think he does have damage to that car. This will be a bit of a long yellow flag, though, because it will take a long time for... What in the world are they doing in the Aston Martin camp?
Medium? What? Okay. It's still raining. Unless he's got some information we don't know. You know what I mean?
I mean, even if the rain was to stop right now, it still takes about 3 to 5 laps for the track to dry off.
He's flying. Let's go on board and see what he can do. His wheel spinning an awful lot.
Again, even if the rain was to stop right now, which it's not, but even if it was to stop right now, the track's still going to be damp for several laps. He very nearly lost it there.
Yeah.
And he's not closing on the lead group quite as fast as you'd anticipate.
Yeah, if I was him, I'd be straight back in. Another set of inters. Because there's just no point of being out. You're just going to lose.
Edgar pitting out 6, and he's joined by his Ferrari teammate. A bunch of drivers in the midfield are pitting.
What the hell's going on?
Jigsaw's staying out. So, for whatever reason, a bunch of... But the track is still wet and it's still raining.
I'm confused. Okay.
Is the track drying out and we're just not able to see it? Are we experiencing like a visual glitch?
It's still raining on my screen.
Ozda put intermediates on. I'm sorry, that's not Ozda, that's Torpedo. Torpedo's still on the track with intermediates, and he's now up into 11th. Jigsaw's caught the back of the grid. I see the rain letting up now. I am starting to see sunlight shine through.
But it's still a bit damp, you would think, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't know.
I personally wouldn't have pitted yet, but that's me.
Nah,
Well, if safety car comes in this lap, it'll be interesting. Which it should do come in this lap.
Back of the grid's not caught up to the front, though. Edgar's just about caught the back. He's only a little less than 4.5 seconds off the back. Yeah, now you can see the back of the grid closing in on this straight. It's going to be a late call to go green. There's the word. Safety car coming in this lap. All right, so the top 7 drivers all on intermediate tires, and they're going to try to be holding off a bunch of guys on slicks on a still damp track where it's still raining. How does Waldo bunch up the field?
I think people are going to miss the braking points here.
I agree. I'm going to do something a little bit different than normal. I'm right on board Jigsaw as they come to the green flag. They're off. They're underway. Fizzy has a good run on Lone Retreat going down the straight. Edgar, Jigsaw fighting for position right now for 8th and 9th. The top 7 had a great run away from everyone who is on the slicks, under braking. It looks like the lead group's going to keep it all together. Looks like everyone kept together through the first 3 corners at least. Ozda overtakes Torpedo right away though. And Breezy has gone off in turn 2.
Yeah, he's
the drivers on
struggling
the
with
medium
traction.
tires. Yeah, they're good. Once the traction is down, they seem to be able to close in on the straights, but they are so bad under braking and initial acceleration that they're not really able to do anything with it.
Jigsaw's keeping
But
up.
if
I said that. Cool.
Yun gets a time penalty.
Jigsaw's...
Ooh, big twitch by Jigsaw. Very nearly lost it there. Torpedo had a run on Ozda, but the straight's not long enough to pull alongside through there. Does anyone at the front of the field elect to pit this lap? I don't think so. It seems like the intermediates are still the way to go, although Jigsaw has caught his teammate Zola. Zola's just been off pace most of the day, though. I'm not really that surprised this happened. But yeah, no one near the front is pitting.
Zola's in.
No, Zola is. But Zola's also on the oldest intermediate tire, so I guess that makes it a little bit less shocking. So Jigsaw now up into 7th, but he has fallen 2.2 seconds off of the drivers on intermediate tires. But they still have an advantage though, because if the track does dry out all of a sudden in the next 4 or 5 laps, when the top 6 all pit, Jigsaw's going to inherit the lead by default.
Yep.
Is it a risky strategy? Absolutely. It's not one I'd ever want to try, but it could work.
P1 and P2 are just pulling a gap. Give it another lap or 2, and they've been in their pit stop window. They're already nearly 8 seconds ahead.
Lucky Dew pulls alongside Fizzy on the run down. Zola has had an accident coming out of pit lane. And that's a virtual safety car. Oh, Red Bull, RTM English goes off. All right, virtual safety car. So if the leaders wanted to pit, this would be in the ideal time to do so. Yeah. It would reduce the amount of positions they would lose on track.
But do they?
But again, the track is still wet. Yeah, it's still raining. It's still wet.
Yeah.
Waldo's coming in. Lone Retreat's coming in. Fizzy's coming in. Lucky Dew's coming in. RTM English is coming in. Yun is coming in. This is it. They're all coming in. For Jigsaw, he's going to stay out, and it looks like he's still going to inherit the race lead. A lot of confidence from the X2 drivers. I guess that's why they race X2 and not us.
Yeah. Well, this is where we see if they've made the right call or not. Young's got on softs. Young's gone on to softs. DRS enabled.
DRS has been enabled.
There you go. Perfect timing.
And the rain seems to have stopped. So here you are with the DRS enabled. Now everything's changed. Waldo, who dominated the first part of this race, now just before the halfway point, he's down there in 7th, and Matrix is looking to open up a big points lead because he's 2nd and he doesn't have time penalties, while Jigsaw, who is leading, does. Ooh, Matrix off circuit there. Matrix, time penalty. He's way off circuit, still off circuit. Wow, that that circuit dried out in about 10 seconds flat. I'm going to go call Cloudsdale and see how the heck they got such a quick turnover for the weather.
Yeah.
But well, farther back, the Lone Retreat is still putting pressure on Fine Waldo. These two were dominating the race earlier. Now they're 7th and 8th with Waldo 7.5 seconds out from Pelly. And Waldo's gonna have to worry about fight from Lone Retreat because DRS is now a thing.
Insane. Waldo.
Yeah.
Someone said to go to General Chat and see that. What's his name? Soul is dealing with some kind of thing at the minute. It's in general.
I have.
For us.
If you're talking about the Twitch chat, I have no ability to
No,
interact with Twitch chat.
It's in the general Discord.
Oh, accident! And Foreman has had an instant there on the circuit.
Yeah, go and look at it. He's got a visual glitch. Soda's got a visual glitch, mate. That's why he's not doing well.
Oh wow, that's a lot of bloody steam. Yeah, for those of you who can't see, it looks like, from Zola's perspective, that all the tires in every car is a classic steampunk machine. It's such a thick smoke screen, it's almost impossible to do anything with. At the front, though, Matrix, Jigsaw for the lead going down the straight. Jigsaw had a good exit out of the final corner, and Matrix has DRS on him.
So that's the reason that Zola's now a minute behind, because he's got graphics glitch, which is very appalling of the game, to be fair. It's been out now nearly a year, and it's still chucking up this problem.
Why bother fixing this game when you can just get everyone hyped for the next one? That's the way EA and Codemasters will look at it.
Yeah.
Matrix has now overtaken Jigsaw on the circuit, and your points leader is now back in front. Breezy has gone off again in Sector 1. He's already back on circuit, but he has now fallen to 10th. Might end up losing that even to his teammate Yun. Yun's on soft tires, the only driver on soft tires right now. Pelly and Foreman both paying to repair damage to their cars. And Matrix already a 1.7 second gap over Jigsaw. So it looks like for Matrix, unless there's another yellow flag to bunch the field up, I think this race has just kind of fallen into his lap. RTM English has a big run on Ozda going uphill. They're going to be side by side going into the chicane. Ozda's running English very nearly out the circuit. English has to back way off so as not to run off circuit there. That works out well for Ozda for the moment, but now English will have DRS back on the Mercedes going down the main straight.
Here comes some quick times now.
Waldo's just set the fastest lap, 1:17.887, and he's going to overtake the Lone Retreat with some DRS assists going down the main straight. Now English has the run on Ozda. Ozda has nothing he can do to fight back by the looks of it. English goes to the outside. Ozda holding inside. Under heavy braking, though, the Red Bulls they make contact! Contact again! English off into the dirt. And you can see English throw his hands up. I'm going for first, he says.
Hamilton Verstappen vibes coming back there from it last year.
So Ozda holding on to the 8th position over English, but English in that Red Bull is plainly significantly faster and more confident in his Red Bull than Ozda is in the Mercedes. English has another run on Ozda, but here there's not really good overtaking opportunity. He was trying to get Ozda to make a mistake. He does. Ozda makes a mistake. Ooh. English around the outside. Contact 2 times down the straightaway and into the braking zone. English is going to take the spot. Ozda throws it back up, across, over the curves, knocks the Red Bull off circuit. English now ahead of Ozda. Ozda has the run. English backs out. He wants DRS on the following straightaway. Now the Mercedes steps out and the Red Bull goes back ahead. The Red Bull will have DRS though because he was ahead when they came to the line. Yun has caught both of them as well. Ozda, even without DRS, he's holding on behind English, who does have DRS, so the Red Bull's not able to pull on the Mercedes down the straight. Ozda looks to the inside. He thinks better of it. Breezy, accident on the circuit as well now. That's a yellow flag. No, he's retired in the pits. Never mind. And Ozda still hanging out behind English, right underneath him, rear wing to front wing. There's no gap between them. Now the gap opens up just a bit in English's favor. Ozda's trying to close back in, though, a little bit faster mid-core, but English is better at putting the power down out of corners.
McLaren's right in the back of this as well to see what happens. If they make contact, he's just going to say thank you very much.
Oh, big twitch by the Red Bull. Red Bull twitches again. Now the Mercedes has a small run on the Red Bull ahead, but I don't think that's going to be enough for him to get by in this chicane. His big Ozda time penalty, that's not going to help him, but he is within DRS range of English when they come to the main straight again. So this fight's not over. Oh, Ozda around! Big accident into the outside wall, inside wall. Somehow the front suspension is still intact, but he put the power down and it went right around into the inside wall. And that'll take him out of the points. Rough run for the Mercedes.
He put the power down and the tire said, joking. I can't do that.
Meanwhile, farther up the grid for the second position, Edgar has caught Jigsaw. We may have an overtake for the second position on the racetrack. In the same way, Find Waldo and the Lone Retreat continue their feud for fourth, but the longer those two keep fighting, the harder it is for them to close on the leaders. English has just gotten a time penalty, as did Yun, as apparently they just cut the circuit back there in Sector 2.
Oh, yeah, I think it's a penalty. Finding Waldo's right on the back of now and Lone Run. Yeah. The Williams.
Edgar has DRS and a run on the Aston Martin going down the main straightaway, down to half a second, a third, a quarter, a tenth. He's alongside, side by side in the braking zone, but the Ferrari has to pull out, but the Aston Martin makes a mistake, and the Ferrari goes up into second now. Great job by Edgar, pressuring and encouraging Jigsaw to overdo that corner, and already the gap between second and third opens up to 1.1 seconds.
Biz on the back of Lucky Do.
Oh. Not anymore. Now he runs into the dirt, and that will open the gap way back up. So the focus on on-track battle now goes back to Lone Retreat and Find Waldo.
That's a slow moving car, but it's fine.
Alright, Waldo within 4/5 of the Lone Retreat going down this straight to the last two corners, so he will have DRS on the straightaway.
Go slightly deep into the corner now.
The Lone Retreat has a little bit less ERS than Waldo does, but neither of them are really utilizing ERS that aggressively.
Free.
That would let Zola get by him, potentially might put him a lap down compared to Matrix. Waldo not able to overtake the Lone Retreat, but he is closer this time around at least. Yeah, Ozda right now ahead of Zola by just a small amount, and the leader of the race is there watching this fight for position. Those two can't just move over. They are fighting for on-track position. Zola, big twitch. Matrix, big twitch. Zola will let Matrix go, though.
Torpedo.
Pelly goes by Torpedo as Torpedo goes off for a second time there in Sector 1. Waldo pummeling the curbs, trying to close in on the Lone Retreat. He's a little bit closer this time than he was the prior lap.
But will Lone Retreat get DRS off the car in front?
Doesn't look like it because it's a 1.6 second gap between the Lone Retreat and Jigsaw. Here comes Waldo. He's steaming down. It's down to a half second, a third of a second, but Waldo's not going to be able to pull alongside the Williams. It's gone from bad to worse for Ozda here. From a points paying position to dead last, a lap down.
He could now just box and get himself. Oh, he's lost it again. In the gravel. Ooh. And say now you just need to box, put me a set of tyres on and just bump round. Oh, he's lost it. He's hit a wall. He's missing the front wing, but I don't actually know. But Final Water is now 7 tenths behind the Lone Retreat, but he's only 9 tenths behind Jigsaw, so that's going to be a nice DRS train.
And the Lone Retreat will utilize this to try and close in on the Aston Martin ahead.
As the
It's
3
taken
seconds.
us a long time, but he's finally gotten another time penalty. For all that off-track time he spent, he sure did a good job not getting penalties. Wow, that was a send by the Williams. And now the Haas is right there. He's going to charge around the outside of the Aston Martin. Jigsaw just does not have any pace compared to Waldo or Retreat. In fact, despite all that, Waldo actually got closer to a Lone Retreat. So much for using him as a pick.
It's interesting.
Zola pulls over to let both the Lone Retreat and Waldo by, so he will not factor into this. But the Lone Retreat is running down Edgar. In fact, the Lone Retreat will have DRS on Edgar on this upcoming lap. Or maybe not. He might have been just outside the 1 second barrier.
You know
No, he did not get DRS.
we need a safety car.
But the Haas does have it.
Nice safety car, and it would spice this race right up.
I think without a doubt, the Lone Retreat and Find Waldo are the fastest 2 cars on the track, but I think the gap that they have between themselves and Matrix is big enough that they won't be able to overcome it. However, they do have the advantage. They don't have time penalties while Edgar and Matrix still do. So I think right now this race could end up being really interesting because this battle for third might become the battle for the race win when time penalties are taken into account.
Obviously, we don't know what time penalties are, but
Yeah, we do actually.
Oh, do
Right
we?
now, Matrix and Edgar both have 3 seconds worth.
ooh, that puts. They're only a. Get ready to watch a slipstream chain down the main straight here. It's going to be an epic one here. So who gets past?
I think the medium tires that Edgar is on have kind of fallen off a bit in pace as well. And that's, oh, wow, Waldo! That was almost the same thing that happened to Ozda, but Waldo was able to arrest the spin. That's perfect for Lone Retreat because he can utilize DRS, try and put the Ferrari between himself and the Haas, but the Ferrari using ERS will maintain the position for 1 more lap at least. So that
He's on
lets the
back of
Haas
lucky
close
day.
back in on the Williams. The Ferrari not running good, and it's really backing the Williams up. But despite this, they're actually, all 3 of these guys are slowly gaining on Matrix. Not by large amounts, we're talking by a few tenths or a few hundredths a lap. But if the Lone Retreat or Waldo can get by Edgar, I think there's a high chance they run down Matrix.
Are these tyres starting to go off now? Because they're not young. 10, 13 laps, between 14 and 10 laps, between 10 and 14 laps old from these cars.
All right, Lone Retreat's gonna have a heck of a run.
What's happening?
That's Busy, who's had an instant there. Although he is back underway already. All right, here we go for second position once more. This time Waldo is even closer to Lone Retreat, and Lone Retreat's right underneath the Ferrari. This should be an easy overtake for at least the Williams. The Haas will have double DRS down the straight. How aggressive does Waldo send it? He needs to make up ground to make up points in the championship. They're both by the Ferrari easily. Waldo twitches again, but they're both by. There's nothing stopping the Lone Retreat or Waldo to try and run down Matrix to the end. Torpedo, accident there a little bit in Sector 2, but he is back underway already.
Fizzy's boxed. Is that going to be for that's a new front wing for him?
This is going to get interesting because if the Lone Retreat can get within 3 seconds of Matrix, he will have the race win. If Waldo can get within 3 seconds of Matrix, he can start, even if it's in a small way, closing the points gap.
Lucky do 3 second penalty.
The gap between first and second briefly stabilizes at about 3.6 seconds. Now that's RTM English who has just had an instant there in Sector 2. He's getting underway now. Now the gap down to 3.3 seconds between first and second. It's 5 laps to go. The Haas of Waldo is closing on the Lone Retreat, but not closing fast enough to get alongside in the braking zone. I think at this point, the medium tires that Retreat and Waldo are on are going to start falling off just a bit, but they are still closing on Matrix. Lone Retreat is just a bit more than 3 seconds out.
They're on 12 and 15 lap old tyres around him. There's some old tyres.
Yun, who he pitted for soft tires, ended up being 20 seconds behind the next closest driver. He's closed that down to being 6 seconds behind the next closest driver. So although Yun just got another time penalty, the softs are significantly faster. The only thing is that Yun and Fizzy, they're so far away from the lead group that they're not going to contend for podium positions, but they could upset for points. Lone Retreat is now within 2.5 seconds of Matrix. With time penalties taken into consideration, the Lone Retreat has positioned himself to be the race winner. Matrix would finish second, Waldo would be third, and that would enable Matrix to extend his points lead over Waldo. But if Waldo can get within 3 seconds of Matrix, that would invert.
Matrix will have 20 lap old tyres if he goes to the end, which he's going to. So he's losing time on them tyres, and the tyres are shot. That's why he's going slow, I think. Tyres are dead.
Waldo, I think Waldo has spent so much time in the aerodynamic wake of Lone Retreat that it's caused him to burn through his tires a bit faster than he needs to. He is struggling to stay within a second of that Williams.
And
Fizzy, fastest lap. Nice. 16.5. Yeah, I don't know if Waldo is going to be able to really capitalize. He's a little bit closer to Lone Retreat this time, but I think Lone Retreat had a mistake coming out of that chicane. Lone Retreat's still within 3 seconds of Matrix, and Lone Retreat's pitting. Something went wrong with the Lone Retreat. Did he clabber and damage the wing going over a curb, maybe?
A turn a second. I'm on board.
No, it looks like they're just pitting for fresh rubber. So now it's between the championship contenders. Matrix has a 2.5 second gap over Waldo. Matrix has the track advantage, but a time penalty will drop Matrix behind Waldo the way it stands right now. .5, 2.4 seconds between Waldo and Matrix. Coming into this race, Matrix had 19-point lead over Waldo. How many points does second place get? Isn't it 18?
Yeah.
So, yeah, if he can make this work, if Waldo can make this work and stay within 3 seconds, he can close it from a 19-point gap to a 12-point gap with just 2 races left in the season.
It's going to be an interesting one now.
And again, Waldo doesn't have to catch Matrix on track. If he can just stay where he is, he will get it.
As long as he stays within the time zone, it should be fine, which is only 3 seconds. So
2 laps to go. As we look real quickly when it comes to time penalties, Edgar, who is in third, has 3 seconds worth of time penalties, but he should be in a decent position. He can still take home that spot. Jigsaw is fourth. He has 6 seconds. Lucky Do is fifth with 6 seconds. The Lone Retreat is not too far off from Lucky Do, and the Lone Retreat still doesn't have any time penalties, so he might leapfrog a few positions up if he can close in on Lucky Do before the end of this race. RTM English is 7th with 6 seconds. Pelly has 3-second penalties. Jan has 9 seconds worth of penalties. Fizzy has 3 seconds worth. Torpedo has 3 seconds worth. Foreman has 3 seconds worth. Waldo's closed just a little bit more on Matrix. The gap's now just sub 2 seconds. I think Matrix's tires have fallen off the cliff.
I think Zoe's going for the fastest lap here.
It's going to be between Zola and the Lone Retreat for fastest lap. I think it's probably going to go to Lone Retreat. He put on soft tires and timed it almost perfectly, I imagine. In fact, as we see him coming down through the last 2 corners, I think we'll see that Williams take fastest lap point here.
Yeah.
Yep, there it is, 16.250. At the front, the gap is close to 1.5 seconds.
Ooh, McLaren. Young's gone.
Yun out of the event. And that's right there in Sector 2. And for Yun, there's just enough cars left on the circuit that although Yun will have completed more than 90% of the race, he's not going to be class fast finishing within the points. So what could have been points for at least one of the McLarens returned to points for none of them. All right. At the front, though, Waldo, 1.4 seconds off of Matrix. Closing a little bit by bit every lap, but he doesn't need to overtake him on the track. He is within 1.3 seconds. That will be good enough. Waldo is going to close up the championship battle here. Also, in the Ferrari camp, they're going to be coming home by the looks of it 3rd and 8th, so they will probably walk out here with the grasp on 2nd in the Manufacturers' Championship. Waldo will take home the win on penalty count back here at Imola. It's a Haas 1-2 finish, and Ferrari-powered cars take home the podium positions. Great job on all of their parts. Jigsaw will come home 4th, despite being off pace for a good part of this race. Lucky Do is going to come home in the 5th position. Oh, big accident! Lucky Do destroys the car after coming across the line. But
Lucky
he will
Do.
be credited
Lone
with
Ranger.
6th.
Not Lone Ranger.
Oh yeah, Lone Retreat. But still, he
Okay.
will be credited with 5th at least. RTM English comes home 7th. Pelly is going to come home in the 8th position by the looks of it. 9th will go to Fizzy. Fizzy's around! Fizzy spins out of the final corner, and that's for 9th position. Now, he does have 19 seconds over Torpedo, but that's not going to help. Although I think on penalty count back, Fizzy might still be able to hold on to this. And there's Fizzy. Now, here comes Torpedo. I think on penalty count back, Fizzy will still get it.
Starting
over
to rain
Torpedo.
again. That's why.
Sure waited until the last possible moment for that.
There we go.
Well, that's why the Haas drivers have locked up the Manufacturers' Championship so early in the season. Just going to wait until we can start getting our podium finishers into the party. Well, we do have Matrix in here. Matrix, can go ahead and include your audio. Rough start, but you called the strategy right, inherited the race lead, only to lose the event to your teammate on penalty count back. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, the penalty count was I went, I don't know if you've seen it, but on the
downhill, upward right-hander. I misjudged it and went right over into the blue bit at the side. It shouldn't have really penned me. I didn't gain anything from it, which is annoying, but that's what it is. It's down to, from what I can think of, it's down to 11 points in the championship. But from speaking to Waldo, he isn't racing in Portimao, so that's a game changer. That.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if he's not racing at Portimao, then all you have to do is walk out with about 14 points next week, and you would lock up the title by default.
Needs to be at least 16 points or more.
Well, either way, it was very interesting watching you guys run it down. Obviously, you didn't get actually caught on the racetrack, but boy, you really made that intense.
Yeah, the rain was difficult. I think a few people couldn't see anything. I think it was a game glitch. It just went pure white whenever they near a car. That's why some cars were going slow. But apart from that, it was a really quick race. So yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, indeed. Almost no safety cars after the rain was gone. That definitely contributed to the brisk pace of the event. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think the likelihood is that you'll lock up the title next week?
Portimao, I love Portimao. As long as, again, I don't spin it under going up the top right-hander. But it should be fine. Like, I'm pretty confident with that. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I'm just gonna 2 races to go, 1 race to go for Waldo from what he's saying. So we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, I do want to say thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us. We've not had any luck getting our actual race winner into the party for whatever reason, but we do have the Ferrari XRL Edgar. Edgar, you came home with a 3rd place finish. With this, I think this means that the Ferrari camp now has both hands firmly on 2nd in the manufacturer's points. What do you have to say about this race?
Yeah, it was a good race. Couldn't see nothing at the start, but yeah, a lot of people were going slow, so I just capitalised on that, and yeah, it was pretty boring race after the safety car.
All right, so it looks also like not only have you locked up, or at least grabbed 2nd in manufacturer's points, it looks like with this you should be able to overtake Smoothie 25 for 3rd in driver's points. This seems to be the most upward momentum that you guys in the Ferrari camp can do. What's your plan? What's your strategy for these last 2 races this season?
Win them. Portimao I'm quite good at, so it's just trying to look for mistakes from the other 2 and see what I can do. I'll be happy with 3rd in the championship, to be honest.
All right, well, outstanding job. You put together a very nice race there. I will admit, though, watching the long retreat and Waldo just blast by you, though, in those closing laps was pretty intense.
Yeah, they're ridiculously quick round there. And Matrix as well is rapid, so yeah.
All right. Well, anyways, I do want to say thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us. I probably won't be broadcasting next week, but irregardless, the viewers will definitely be looking forward to seeing what the Ferrari boys can do next week.
Wicked. Speak to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Well, that will pretty much wrap up our broadcast here. Let's be honest, that was a very, very interesting race, to say the least. Not a lot of on-track action, but the sheer pace that we saw open up in those last few laps was something else.
Yeah, some serious quick laps in there.
All right. Well, all things considered, there's not really a whole lot else to go over. Again, Haas locked up the manufacturers championship, and depending on if Waldo shows up or not to the last 2 races, will decide if the driver's title gets locked up next week or not for X2. But anyways, I've been your host for today's Race in St. Louis 13. I've been joined by Schumacher SF7. Shumi, it's been nice to be able to share the booth with you. Nice, new blood. Never know what is going to happen, that kind of scenario. In a week's time, at 5 p.m. UK time on this channel on Sunday, will be X1. At the same time, on the Ultra channel will be X3. X3 has a 3-way driver's title fight going down to the last 2 races. Then at 8 p.m. UK time on Sunday next week is the X2. Also on Saturday at 5 p.m. UK time is the Dev race, and 8 p.m. is the realistic 100% race. But anyways, that's it from me. I'm glad that you're all willing to watch. And until next time,